The radical far left, or as they should be called these days, your average Democrat, is a continuation of the original spirit of Christianity. The spirit of Christianity is that of slave morality. As explained by Nietzsche, all things that lead to good feeling are true, and that the ultimate truth is inside, subjective, otherworldly, otherwise known as fiction. Instead of valuing the consequences, the objective results of business and war etc., which is master morality, slave morality, speak from the hearts of the workers, the beaters who cannot be independent. They cheapen and vilify the objectively successful, taking the title of successful and righteous for themselves, not for anything that they've done but because it feels good to do so, and by Democrat logic, feeling good, or popular consensus, is sufficient proof of truth. It feels good to believe that the designer or patron of a new technology did not create the tech. The men and occasional woman who did the soldering and welding, copying from an instruction manual in a warehouse, those workers invented the device, not the designer, and so the workers, not the designer, deserve the profits. Totally false, but it feels good and it therefore true. Thus the moral thing to do is rip off the boss. Now Christianity these days has a right-wing reputation, but Christ's direct teachings are not right-wing at all. He was a leftist. And like all leftist utopian preachers, his followers caused a huge amount of war. Almost as much as Islam. Anyway, original teachings of Christ read like a hippie communist manifesto. For example, Christianity teaches that whores and traitors are better than oppressive upper class who pays them. James 21:31 Jesus saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God before you. This in opposition to the law of Moses, which says the direct opposite. Deuteronomy 23:2 A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. A bastard being quite naturally the child of a whore. By the way, when Russia and China accepted the ultimate slave morality, the people became more enslaved than ever before. I am talking of communism, of course. The Gulag Archipelago shows what twisting the perceived order of the world for the sake of the weak does. It kills. It almost forces the masses to give in to resentment in the most violent way. Anyone who is successful, instead of being rewarded as they would be in capitalism, they are branded as traitors and jailed. Forced into hard labor with no chance for initiative. Rather than admit that someone has done better than you, the slave morality says that person must be brought down. People like Russell Brand and George Soros speak of the little people and giving them their fair share. But they live capitalism and hoard billions. They do not live what they say they believe. Slave morality produces countless states, where thousands of single mothers have trysts with uneducated, drugged, chav young men. They produce hordes of maladapted children. Many will not work for 10 generations. I have seen it. They believe themselves hard done by, and are constantly asking for more benefits. Like rabbits. They are helpless and weak. They don't plan. They shun anyone who thinks of the future or in any way makes them question themselves. They do not believe in freedom of speech. They do not believe in freedom. They do not believe in speaking other than to comfort themselves or ask for more resources, or training their young girls to do the same. Seriously. Find some of these young women and try to have a conversation with them. They see the world through limited prisms. 1. Men who they sleep with. 2. Men who will pay them. 3. Children who they will protect and raise with those men's money. 4. Soothsayers who tell them they are good, moral people, that all their problems are the fault of men who will not sleep with them or give them money. All must fall into one of these categories. And they will not stand any questions on their reductive and utterly dependent way of life. Honestly, if the government were to declare them slaves and force them to work full-time for the same benefits, they would have no recourse. They would complain, till they became hungry and then show up for work. Schopenhauer had the right of it when he said, Women are directly adapted to act as the nurses and educators of our early childhood, for the simple reason that they themselves are childish, foolish, and short-sighted. In a word, are big children all their lives, something intermediate between the child and the man. Consider how a young girl will toy day after day with a child, dance with it and sing to it. These women are the original thought leaders of slave morality. Anyone who believes as these do is following the spirit of Christianity as taught by Christ. 27 Consider the lilies how they grow, they toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. 28 If then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? 29 And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. 30 For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. How is this not a direct manifestation of resentment toward the work needed to produce food and shelter? Perhaps this is Jesus ben Joseph's response to losing his ancestral throne and becoming a mere carpenter. Don't work. Just trust the patriarchy to provide. Ironically, this is identical to the chav world created by feminism and equal rights in these housing estates, and emblematic of the world as they would see it become, with no fathers and no complete families. Equal rights in leftist reality coming round to mean equal results. Equal results despite aptitude or effort, and thus being the will of slave morality. It's all connected. Christianity, democracy and slave morality. They are the same thing, resentment. To clarify, I am not against voting on officials or the people having the power to pull down officials. That's a republic. We live in a republic. Republicanism, the people having the power to depose leaders at will, is good. The people being able to directly vote on new laws, however, this is a mistake. Because only people who have proven they are have the discipline and foresight to earn and save up money by their own willpower, or, at least, say, keep their room tidy for more than a week, should have that power. Jordan Peterson. What I'm saying is only people who are capable of not stealing every pound that passes through their hands should be trusted with the public's tax. Thus any who resent and hate men, especially men of business, the Bill Gates of the world who make everything ever, if you want to destroy them and divide their money among yourselves like thieves, you should not be allowed to make laws about economy or tax. I understand resentment. I have felt enough of it and made enough bad decisions under its influence to have sympathy for these wayward souls. But they are sheep. Anyone seeking revenge or seeking to live without hearing negative or opposing opinions is a slave to his emotion. They are no longer thinking beings and should not be handed the reins to civilization.